I want to thank Shane and Logan City Bears for having me, so I appreciate that. But I will start up. I am a former, like Shane says, I am helping out with Gridiron Australia, and I'll talk about that for a brief second. But I am a former special teams coordinator at the college level for 2 years at Beloit College. We did some great things out there, and you'll see some video. I know Bryce is on the Zoom, and he was my special teams coordinator at the women's Outback team a couple years ago, and you'll see some of the words that you guys will understand that he renamed, and then you'll see the stuff that I call it when I was over in the U.S. So here we go. I always say regulators mount up. I'm a big movie guy. I don't know if you guys are, but I try to relate with the players in some way, even though they don't know what Young Guns are. A lot of you coaches should know what Young Guns is. If not, please watch that movie. It's a pretty good movie. And I usually name my special teams certain things. So that year at Beloit College, in 2 years, we called them the regulators. I want to thank all the coaches that I've coached and I've coached with me in the past, or coached against me, or coached with me. Without them, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. So I want to thank everybody for that. And remember, if you have any questions, please put them in there. And then when Shane wants to say, hey, there's a question, then we can do it. This is a little place where I've been. I met JB, in fact, the coach that was just on. We were in the United Kingdom together before when I was speaking for USA Football and things like that, the BAFA conference in 2016. And then you see these are all the places I've been. I'm currently at Beloit Catholic High School, the Titans. We've been pretty good for the last couple of years and things like that. But these are all the places I've worked for or worked with. In 2017, I combined my love for teaching and a passion for football to create Coach Stone Football. If you have not gone to the website, I highly recommend it. There's a lot of free stuff on there. I created my Back to the Basics books and football camps to teach skills and techniques to improve players' confidence through basic skills while having fun. The fundamental lays a foundation while utilizing the necessary skill to set to become a better athlete. I want to personally thank all of you that are here today, giving up your free time to learn. Hopefully you learned something from me. But, you know, if it wasn't for you guys making a difference in the lives of players both on and off the field, I don't know where we'd be at. I know that's why I coach football. I met a coach a long time ago, and he put me under his wing. I played quarterback. I played quarterback my whole life. So if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here talking to you today. Also, thanks for asking. I want to give a big thank you to Gridiron Australia Board, especially Darren Mitchell and Kevin Wilson, on building your football coaching accreditation program. I'm super honored to do this on your journey. If you have not yet, please do me a favor. There's an email right here. When that site goes live, you need to email that to email everyone to make sure that you get your, how they say, their different positional coaches or assistant coach or head coach, things like that. So if you haven't done that yet, please email at admin@ga.org.au. Access to the certification and resources will be provided to all registered Gridiron Australian coaches for free of charge. So I want to thank you again, Darren, GA Board, and Kevin Wilson, for doing this. And I think for all you guys that are coaching, you know, we're doing it for free. You know, none of us are getting paid for it. And I think it's a great thing for when you do it. And I was in Victoria last year with doing something like this. But I think it's awesome that GA is doing this for you guys at free of charge if you're a registered member. Okay, here's my first tip. Okay, so if you want to, I'm more than happy to take it from me because I think it's great. And, you know, if you're not a Patriots fan, I apologize. Remember, my name's Matthew Jenkins if you're not a fan of Patriots. This is Joe Judge, the new coach for the Giants. He was a former Patriot. The one thing he said was, don't tell me they can't do certain things. Tell me what they can do, and then we'll figure out as coaches, because that's our job. How we can use that. That's our responsibility. And everyone has something they can do. The biggest thing is no matter how many players you have, and when I was younger, we used to be ran off the field. Like they would make players quit. You can't do that no matter where you're at now, and especially with this whole COVID thing going on. whatever you get, you're going to have to work with. So whatever players you do have, make sure you find something they can do good and use them to that responsibility. And I mean, that's our responsibility to make sure we use them. Okay, special teams, success factors. Shane, you guys can have this too, this PowerPoint and the videos and stuff. So if you ever want anything from me, please ask. I mean, with the stuff I create, I'm more than happy to share a lot of it. And there's some stuff, I can't because it's in my book. But when you have a special teams, for one, make sure you let the players play. Keep it simple, small system to minimize missed assignments. Maximize the time to drill the basic fundamentals. Have a special teams plan. Competitive drills to determine your personnel. So, a lot of your starters, like where I'm from, a lot of our starters will not want to play special teams. They want to do that. They want their break time. What we try to do where I'm at is try to make it competitive so they can have extra things. Maintain a visual depth chart to encourage competition. So if you have a equipment room or if you have a Google Drive or something, I would definitely make a special teams chart. Change it early and often. Try to match starters with your scout things. Scout look like. Question player on opponent's tactics for solutions of what ifs. Okay. Shane, if there are any questions, please tell me though. Okay. Because I saw some pop up, but I don't know if they're mine.
I will do. I'll make sure I ask any that I put in the chat. Perfect. I don't know if obviously I won't see any that go privately to you.
No. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let me just double check. Oh, no. Okay, so, oops, sorry, 1 second. So with the special teams outline, how I do it when I was at Beloit College, I made it very simple. Our head coach, Chris Brand, was awesome. He's a Rydell rep now for the whole Midwest. What he did to me when he said, Stone, I wanted something super basic. And you teach elementary school, so make it so easy that elementary kids could run this. And I said, okay, let's do that. So what I did was I asked the team to make a viable goal. Try to keep the ball inside the 30. You don't want to say, like, when you're creating an offense or defensive philosophies, don't say you're going to do no turnovers. Because what happens if you give up a turnover in the first play of the game and it's really raining outside? Then your whole team's morale goes down because you're upset or they're upset that they didn't get their goal. So make it realistic with the objective. The specialist, that's the kicker who can kick the ball from the goal line. The great thing with Australia that I've noticed when I've been there numerous times now, that everyone can kick. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, everyone can kick, and you guys are great kickers at it. They should have a kicking school down there. One of you guys could start up, and it'd be phenomenal. Make sure you have someone that can kick the ball with a 4-second hang time, though, to delay the return. This will allow the coverage to get down there. If you have someone like this kickoff team is for you. I'm not lying to you. If your kickoff team, and some people may present stuff that's unrealistic or things like, coach, I can't do that because my players can't do that. This kickoff team is still, the outline and the videos you'll see are super basic where you can just modify it, and you'll see how I modified it in the videos. The team must be fast, though. So you have to be fast and good tacklers, moving down the field, evenly spaced, and you'll see how I do that, with a burning desire to make a tackle. My personnel is very simple. I have 2 wedge busters, 4 line masters, 2 loopers, some people would call them containers, and then 2 go-getters. And I guarantee you, everyone on their staff that's listening now has a person that when you tell them to go get the ball, they go get the ball. That's one of the persons you want to be on there. And they might be a starter, but that's the one special teams they need to be on so they can go get the ball for you. Here's a tip for kicking off. This is my father-in-law. I did a video a long time ago in my basement. So
There's supposed to be sound, coach.
Oh, you can't hear it?
No, sir.
Let me see why it's not doing that. Can you? Can you hear it now?
Yep, we're good now.
Here, I'll start it over. It's because my headsets were in.
Kickoff, the biggest variable is that where your plant foot goes. When you come into the ball, if you concentrate on the ball only, that your plant foot can vary greatly. The angle of the ball, angle of your plant foot. You want your plant foot to go to the direction of what you're going to kick the ball. The other thing is that you increase in accuracy. If you want to kick the ball right or left, then when you come in, the plant foot is always the same. And when you adjust your foot, that's going to adjust the angle of what you're kicking. So the first thing you got to do is to make sure that you can kick it straight. Once you can kick it straight, then you can start to play with the angle of your foot. But the most crucial thing is your plant foot. When you come in with your plant foot, that is where it needs to be consistent every single time, so that when you bring your leg forward, you don't have to bend it, you don't have to stretch it. It's always, always, always the same.
Okay, so if you can you hear me, Shane?
Yeah, we can.
All right. So in my volume 3 book, Special Teams, my father-in-law put his workout program in there, and he set the record in Minnesota for the longest punt still to this day. I believe it's like 80 something yards. So he is one of the best people I know in punting and kicking. And also he's my father-in-law because I met his daughter when I was coaching college football. So I have to say something really good about him. So that's kickoff. So what do you line up in, right? So do you line up 5x5, 4x6, things like that? Now I go into what I like to do, and I like the bunch, okay? Why do I like bunch? This is us in 2010 with the U.S. women's ladies team doing it. This is with us doing another team here, high school team, I believe. What we did was, why do you do bunch? It's very simple. You do it for the angles. You do it to overload a side, okay? Pooch or onside kick, directional kicks, creates confusion on counting players off. How many times when your players, if you're bunched up, you cannot count your players. You don't know where they're going or what. You have to have that front line or that second line have to know who they're blocking when a return occurs. If you're in a bunch and then you spread out, you can spread out with the bunch and kick it, or you can spread, like go to fake it, come back, and then open up. That's just like we did with the Outback ladies a couple of years ago in Canada. You can always stay traditional. You don't have to go, you don't have to start in the bunch. Make other teams practice more. So for something like this, it's really basic, but other teams have to practice it. And you'll see why at Beloit College, why they didn't practice it, and we took advantage of it. Keep it simple, small. Don't do nothing too major. You'll see how when we were at the Outback team, when I was with the Outback team and Bryce and I did it, we made the playbook smaller. Make it fun and exciting and competitive. Same players are on both teams, the kickoff and the onside team, because if you do that, then you don't have to worry about a substitution if someone's injured or things like that. And then our goal is the 30-yard line. So this right here is our what Bryce called it, right? So I don't know if Bryce is unmuted or he can unmute, but if you can, Bryce, I would definitely do it. So what we did it was we named it different things. He called it AFL and rugby, you know, and how we did it was we just lined up just like you see. And with the AFL, we lined up like that. And then once we found a person we wanted to kick to, that's what we did. If you learn any tip, and this is definitely one tip you're going to learn, I'm going to tell you this right now. Never kick it to the deep guy. If you don't know why, it's because that's who they wanted to have the ball with. So never kick it deep. If you kick it deep, you got to make sure you do it correctly. And you'll see that with the one returner we did at Central. He was a great returner, and we sucked him in every time, and he probably had his worst game ever. The rugby kick, we'd come up, and then we'd spread out real fast, and then we'd kick it off. And yes, you can do this within a 5-yard thing. If you hear the word go, and this is something we did with the Outback, it says if you hear a go after either one, we will kick it to the short middle onside 12 yards. You know?
Yeah,
Something
so that call would have been rugby go, for example.
Rugby go. There you go. Thanks, Bryce.
Nice catch.
So Bryce was a special teams coordinator for us at the Outback team, and he did a great job, you know, and Bryce and I had a lot of fun doing this. So
Yeah.
At Beloit College, and this is what I do with all things, and if you want to do the insert here, your team here, you can. It's all about the hidden yardage, okay? There are 3 teams in football. There's an offensive team, a defensive team, and a special teams. And there are 33.3% you have to be aware of. Special teams is a huge, huge thing. If you do it correctly, you can really turn a game over real fast, especially if you score and then you onside kick them and they're not ready. It's a huge thing, okay? So with this being said, and you see what we wrote here, this is something that I got a long time ago. And then what I did, if you want to copy this, I'm more than happy to send it to you. And you could put your team in there and things like that. But if you want to win the field position battle each game, especially on special teams. Because if your offense is bad and your defense is holding the whole nick and cranny, if you don't have a good special teams, and I don't know if you coaches have this issue and the players have it, it's those seasons where it's like this, here we go again. You know, like maybe they run back the opening kickoff. Everyone's heads are already down. But if you can win on the kickoff team, that's one win to build the team's confidence up. And then if you stop them on defense and kick it to the offense, you already have 2 wins. So just keep going with your chances. Where the ball lands, that's your choice of what you want to go with. So that's the field position battle. Personnel positions for the kickoff team. Okay. Everyone must keep the ball inside and in front of you. As coaches, you know which category your players fall in. So if you want to run this, what I recommend is this. It's very simple. Okay. You want those crazy guys or ladies that run down the field and they're always want to be the first one in there. They go get the ball. That's your go-getter. A line master is someone that will follow directions. Now, I know a lot of people don't follow directions, especially if you're a teacher, because we just give them. But a line master, they will be able to stand an imaginary line, elude a blocker, and then get back up the field in the same spot. If the ball is kicked to the side, then they will move as a group. And it's pretty cool when you see it. And I don't have any tight copies of the Beloit College stuff. I wish I did. But you'll see it on the video, how they line up. And then when they come down, you can see it. If we want to, we can run it back and forth. The wedge buster are the toughest players on your team. And you guys, Australian players, overseas players, you know, there's not that many old school players in America, I believe, left that'll just run through a brick wall. Some of our players, if we tell them to run through a brick wall, then we're getting called by their mom. You know, so if you have those players that are going to run through the wall, those are your 2 wedge busters. I would have 4 total, but 2 will probably survive the whole season no matter what, injury free. And you probably know those players, or they'll play no matter what. The loopers are your smart players, or usually your safeties, or your corners that are really good covering wise. They're your contained players. Nothing gets outside of them. And you'll see a video where Coons, his last name was Coons, like the guy tried to go outside and he just like took him out. You know, they must have FBI. If you don't know what FBI is, and this is another thing right here, it's football intelligence. The kicker is your safety player, and that's it. Your lanes are very simple. Remember, you don't have to start in bunch. You know, you want to keep everyone inside, but you're just running down the lines. Remember to close the lanes on the way to the football. Paint the football in the corner of the field. If you've ever painted a house or a floor before and you wanted to paint yourself into it, that's what you do. You suffocate the ball, the returner, from returning the ball past everyone else. Okay, this is a thing that we used for the Outback team. This is something Bryce took this into a bigger thing and wording and stuff, but it's the same thing you saw on the last page. You know, keep everyone in front of you. They must be that. They must be a tough SOB. I don't know if that was you or me, Bryce. It's probably me. But, you know, those are the things. Here's some video of Beloit College of our cut-ups. These are, we started in bunch, we opened up, and then we kick right away. Or we open up, and then we wait, and then we kick. There's no sound here, Shane.
You're good, coach.
So if you look at the loopers, you can tell where the loopers are right now because they slowed down. So that kid was really good for Central College. And like a lot of these, because we had a high scoring game that game, a lot of these things we just picked on the whole time, or we picked on his buddy. So the thing I would do on this play right here, you saw how they already formed like a mini wedge or a mini like box. We see that on film during the week, and that's where we'd kick it. And here's the thing, guys and ladies, teams usually return to their sidelines. That's our go-getter. See that go-getter just come in right now? Because the looper was just waiting for him.
Coach, how do you identify the person you want to kick the ball to on film?
He's the guy that doesn't want the ball. You could tell that easily. It's like, if you notice, like everywhere we kick, we're kicking somewhere different, right? When I'm up in the box, I see that person and I'm like, that's the guy. Like in this team right here, that kid we're going to kick to that kid. You know why? Because that's the only position he plays. You know what I mean? So if there is a team that only plays certain guys on special teams, we would kick to those guys. So we number all the guys. And then the other thing too is this. Let's say you have 13 and 14 this time, the first time, and they switch the second time. That means there's a tell. So it's like playing cards. I always tell this to all my buddies and friends, don't ever play cards with me because I'll see your tell right away and I'll take all your money. So the biggest thing you want to do, if you got film on a team, and we didn't have no film in the outback, right? And Bryce can attest to this because Bryce would be up in the box and be like, okay, kick to this person, kick to that person. Because you could see there's a person that's like celebrating, getting ready for the ball, and there's a person who just jogs out on the field. So you could tell during the game, but if you have film, you could really tell. And if you want to send me film, I'll give you my email at the end. I'll show you what I actually looked for. Does that make sense, Shane?
Sure does.
Awesome. Okay. The one thing I like to do is a lot of different kickoff coverage calls. I love to do it. I just like to do it because here's the thing. If players are not having fun, it's not going to help you, especially if you're that coach like this. The players will be good to you for a certain amount of time. But if you make it more fun and you are a yeller and you're fun though, then they'll want to play for you. They want to hear, they want to listen, they want to learn, ask questions and things like that. And whoever asked that question, Shane, that was a great question, So, well, go back to this real quick. I'm sorry. So the one thing I love to always do is put a quote in. Knowledge is confidence, and confidence lets you play fast. And that's a great thing to use. If you want to use that quote for your special teams, use it. If you want to use it for your defense, even better. Bill Parcells has 3 assistant coaches still in the NFL. They've won 9 Super Bowls. They've won 9 Super Bowls, 3 of his assistants. And he has more that have been head coaches. This is switch regular. What we would do is we would bunch. We would open up. And then here's the thing with the thing you have to understand. The line masters never change. So if the guy's on this side and the guy on this side and they're running the switch down, they're always going to be, this guy over here is going to come this way, always down. We're not going to have this guy that plays over here run this way because then he's not used to the group he's with. It's kind of like you're dating people on the field. If you have cohesion group, and you guys know that with some of your offensive linemen, one side's really good because they get along, and the other side, they can't function without one another. So we try to keep it really basic. And here's the thing, when you use it and switch it, and you have different calls, you can see the tell, but then you have to figure out which tell you're getting. And you'll see right now, back regular. So what we'd do is I would have my other guy on the left side, my main guy on the left side, my main guy on the right side. But on the one before that, I would have my 2 guys in the back switch with them, if that makes sense. And what I did was, because it's supposed to be only 5 yards, I put them back further so you guys got the understanding of that. Okay, so this right here, Bryce, are you on?
Yeah, Coach.
So explain why you picked these names instead of the ones that we had.
Yeah, so we used Chucky Yui. So that was basically being able to do a U-turn. So that was the way that the girls could actually, or the ladies, sorry, could actually understand.
Ladies.
So,
it's okay. And then what was the whoop whoop?
Because we're heading out to whoop whoop. So, yep.
Okay. So here's the thing too. If you make your terminology something that, I don't know, I think Bryce didn't like my terminology. That's why, but he did something and all the ladies looked at it. And whenever I called it, they would laugh at me, or whenever Bryce would call it, they would laugh at us. So.
Yeah, it was just trying to take what coach sort of wanted to run and just convert it into something a bit of fun and something that made them want to play special teams, if that makes sense as well. A lot of people don't want to play special teams.
Oh, no, but no, remember we would have like, who wants to do this? And then they're like, nope, we're good. Back wide regular. What I would do is just keep the line masters there and then they would back up and go. Corner left, if you see that I have like little hash marks, like little dotted lines where they have to run to. And all it is painting the ball in the corner. And here's the thing. If you don't have two good go-getters, don't run corner left, because you are telling them to pretty much either come straight at you. And if they go like wide side, they're like, oh, well, you're going to kick in the corner. I'll go to the like wide side of the field. Because a lot of players will like think, oh yeah, I'll just go to the wide side of the field. If you do, look at all the people that are there. So that's why we have it like that. Corner right is the same thing with the same hash marks. The same markings, landmarks for the players to run to. And if you notice the looper there on the corner right, they're literally 5 yards from the sideline, and they're just going to make that tackle if they get outside there. So he's just going to like wait and be like, okay, I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting for you. And you saw it in the video where the one guy's like waiting for him, and he's not going to make the tackle. And then all of a sudden, here comes the go-getter, and the go-getter just gets him right now. So here you go. Bryce, what do you got here? The Flying Fox and Sugar Glider.
So basically we're going for left and right calls. So I wanted the ladies to understand Flying Fox, we're using the L and we're kicking it to the left. And then Sugar Glider, it's got more R's in it. I stuffed up by using glider at the end, but it's got more R's in it, so that was kicking to the right. But I'm trying to give them very quick ways of remembering, are we kicking to the left, are we kicking to the right, using Australian terms and slang and stuff that basically the international teams would have no idea what we're talking about. So when we yell it out from the sideline, they don't know what we're running.
Bryce, what about this one here?
Yes, likewise. So any lizard, any Australian lizard is a left kick, and then any kangaroo or a wallaby or whatever was the right kick.
And the only thing I didn't get in time, and I apologize, I did not have any Outback video. But if you watch the ladies Outback team, we ran this, and we did not have. Bryce, am I right? We did not have a run back, correct?
Correct.
I believe we had one or two maybe over the 30-yard line.
Yeah, and that was I think with Canada where we accidentally kicked it to the wrong person. But yeah.
Yeah, I remember we yelled at the kicker for that. Right? We said, "Do not kick it to this person ever." And they're like, "Oh yeah," and the ball kicks right to her, and then I'm on the sideline yelling at you, and you're like, "Coach, I'm up here. I can't do nothing." So, and then I believe we did one onside kick or two. I think we got one. I think we got one though, but I'm not quite sure. We got one, but they said we didn't get it. Kind of like the fumble recovery. So, okay, so this is what you just saw with the back regular and, corner kicks and things like that. This is more clips of us doing this. This is my first year doing special teams. And remember, this was a couple years ago, so we were 10 yards back, but you can do it 5. 5's even better. If you notice the looper's on the outside, like just waiting. Great, I'm there. So you just wait for that to happen. And you see there's not one team. You're seeing a bunch of different teams. This is probably my last year being a coordinator. No, this is probably my third year or second year. And you notice we didn't kick it to the deep guy. We just kicked it right to the guy that he's not a baseball player. So if he's not a baseball player, I'm going to kick you a worm burner, I call it. This is a corner kick, but he doesn't kick it in the corner. And if you notice, we're still below the 30-yard line.
Do you ever kick from a hash, coach, instead of the middle of the field?
Yes. Especially if I have a kicker that's good, I will do that. But if I do that, I need to make sure there's a tell if you do that, if that makes sense. You want to kick the ball in the middle because then the ball can go any way. And you'll see that in some of the videos. Like Bryce can tell you the one word he didn't change, and you'll see in a second, is double dip on an onside kick. And I don't know if you remember that, Bryce. Everyone was trying out for that with the ladies team because they all do it. But I would stay in the middle, because once you put it in the corner, you're going to give a lot of your tells up. Okay, so here's my checklist, okay? So I'm just going to give them all if that's okay, and then we can talk about them. Oops. Sorry. Okay, I believe that's it, but if I have to, I'll add one more if it is. You know, double check your special teams list with another coach. You know, Bryce was really, really great about, you know, taking the reins and being very, you know, taking it over, and he did a great job. I thought he did a better job than I do at this stuff. And if you have him in your area and you need a special teams coordinator, he's definitely one you want to look at. By making KOR kickups too will help your team. You can use watch game film, huddle, whatever you use for your program, but I would definitely have that, because then it'll show, like, we don't want to kick to this guy ever or this lady ever, because if we do, we're in big trouble. Best type of kick and coverage coordination, you know, have a landmark, and you'll see that, I believe, in this thing later on. Which coach rounds the players up after a coin toss, score, and halftime? You need to have that. Have a designated area on the field where program athletes during walkthroughs. Know which returns the opponents use. And I'm going to tell you right now, check if you think I'm lying. A lot of teams will return to their sideline. A lot of teams will do that. And if they have a middle return, guess what? Don't kick it in the middle. Kick it on the side. Then do their what ifs. Like, do they have a trick play, anything special? Does the front line leave early? And you're going to see why we onside kick if they do leave early. Bryce, what team was it that left early? Was it Mexico or was it Canada? Do you remember?
I think it was Canada from memory.
Okay. Yeah, because we onside kicked. I know that we definitely did that, because I'll take a risk on that. Do they always return to their sideline? Do they switch players around? That's a big thing. Always have someone track that. Everyone, if you don't have on your staff a numbers guy, find one. Know who not to kick to. And Bryce will tell you right offhand, when you kick it to the wrong person, and we tell everyone never to kick to them, you see what happens when you do. And then find that one player that looks like, I don't want to be out here. This is stupid. You know, I'm taking a break. You know, there's always that one you'll find, and it's very simple to find them. Kickoff periods. Your talent determines what you can do. Your motivation determines how much you are willing to do. Your attitude determines how well you'll do it. Lou Holtz. Okay, this is all at Beloit College. Okay, so if you look at it very carefully, you'll notice that we had someone retrieve balls. If you guys know Gene Crosby from the juniors national team, he was the holders. He was the short and long snappers coach. So he would be there, and you'll see this is just a 5-minute period where we have players do stuff. You know, the punters would punt, long snappers. If you have a swim noodle, you cut a swim noodle in half and then put it under their arms behind them like this, and they catch it so their elbows are in, you know. And then we'd have our kickoff unit over here on the bottom where our line masters and our wedge busters would do it. And we just do little things. And every coach had a job. That's the one time I loved it, where Coach Brand would say, okay, you tell this coach what to do, you tell this coach what to do, and you tell this coach what to do. This would be one day, okay? Another day we would do is this. We would have our go-getters and loopers and wedge busters in one area. We'd always practice short snaps and long snaps, because I know a lot, I don't know if you guys do this, but if you don't practice extra point, please do, because if you can get it off, you're scoring one more point than they will always. If you guys if both teams don't go for two, okay? You all can find a kicker that can do it. All you gotta do is block up front and snap it, boom, you're ready to roll. Long snapping, you know, same thing. We always had the returners. Now, different players, we'd have backups someday with the noodle distraction. We'd have, you know, because if they're go-getters, but we would have them all in certain spots, and we would grade them, and we would film this. And you don't have to film it from a tower like we did with the stadium and have it really wide angle. You can just film it with a coach holding a phone, you know, and then upload it later. Here's another one we did on a Thursday. Remember, we played on Saturday at the college level here. So if you look at this now, this is a kickoff example. So you'd have the line masters on the bottom, you have the go-getters on the main side of the field, you have the loopers on the bottom, and then you had scout players like offensive line. We'd also have, if a player wasn't being used and we could do it, then a coach would take that individual 5 or 6 players and they would take those players and use them for D-line, O-line, and things like that. Because a lot of O-linemen won't be on certain things. So that's something to think about. Like, do you have coaches that gospel talk? I'm a type of coach, and Bryce knows this, and I think Craig Wilson's on, and that's seen me coach, and Darren, I think, seen me coach a couple times, where if everyone's working, I'm happy. But if you're standing there and just talking during practice or something, it's not helping you. Or if you do a drill and everyone's watching, everyone else is not learning something. They're just learning to be cheerleaders. So kickoff drills, before you can win a game, you have to not lose it. It's very simple. Okay. Kickoff drills right here. These are from my book, my green book. This is a line master drill. What it is very simple. You run down and they elude the first line, elude the second line, in or out, but they get back straight on the line. I would do this going this way on a football field, not on a real football field like normally. I would go on the line so you can see it happen. That's why a lot of drills were going left to right instead of north and south. You know, and that's the drill for that. And then we'd have a rabbit, the kick returner, would be right there to catch the ball. And then those guys would just stop in their place. No really stuff. The wedge buster drill is very simple. It's kind of like a battering ram. Just run through it. You know, Goldfish was really good at that. She did a great job for us. I think it was Jasmine Collins too. We had CJ too there, right? Is that right, Bryce?
Yep.
And who was our 4th person we had as a wedge buster? Do you remember? I remember Collins. I remember CJ. I remember Bridge, Brewer, I think too.
Yeah, probably Brewer.
You know,
sorry,
and they
3
would
years ago. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, right. But they would just go through a wall for you. If they would go through a wall, they're going to be on special teams. And then we got them other places too that did very well. Go-getter training is really good. I believe this is my volume 3 or my new book that came out. It's coming out tomorrow. It's already come out on Kindle already. It's volume 5. But it's very simple. And you saw it earlier with the one kid, what is his name? Higgs. Like one guy's like running down the field. He's trapped him. And then the guy's like going to try to make a move. And all of a sudden he comes in and hits him. That's what we did this training for. That's what you see right here. This is the thing we did where they would just go through the thing. He actually did number 2 in the training that you see on the picture below the diagram. Different types of onside kicks. Nobody who ever gave his best regretted it. George Hallis. Okay, positions for onside kicks are very simple. If you notice, we use the same players. I call them containers instead of loopers because they have to contain the play. A looper will loop and like wait. A container has to contain the virus getting out. I mean, I hate to say it like that, but they've got to contain it. If they don't contain it, it's going to spread, and we know what happens. Okay? So our objective is very simple. Deliberate short kick to gain field position for an offense. Kicker to dribble or pooch the ball a legal minimum of 10 yards. Swarm to recover, man, and get the ball. Must recover all kicks. Wedge busters, line master containers, and go-getters. This is our muddle. This is what I called it, muddle. And we would literally tell people to destroy the player in front of them. Now, I know that's not appropriate, but that's what we did in college. We did that, and we said that's what we wanted. That's what the head coach said. I want this guy destroyed. So I had to write, destroy the guy. You know, and then the loopers, even though they were containers, because I changed it, they would be nothing outside. And the wedge busters, if you see, they would come down parallel, straight down. They would take out the center. And I don't know about you guys, but if the ball's kicked right in front of you and you have 2 guys running at you full speed, I'm going to tell you right now, there's not more than 50% of the people that are going to either second guess themselves, back up, or try to take it on when their main goal is to just fall in the football. Because when that happens right there, and you'll see it in the video, it happens so fast, you're not even ready for it. And then what'll happen is, go ahead.
Sorry, Coach. I was just going to say this here is incredibly threatening to that front line. Those front three, you've got 11 versus 3 here for this ball.
And it's not illegal. Remember, because in IFAF or NCAA rules or high school rules, you have to have 5 on each side, right? 5 and 5, or 4 and 6. If you look at the picture, we have 5 on one side and 5 on one side, and the kicker's going down the middle. The other thing too is, if you're great with officials, you tell them that you're going to do all this stuff like we do. You tell them that we're going to do this, and they're like, "Oh, okay, is it illegal?" And I'm like, "No, I'm going to draw it up for you. I'm going to show you if they think it's illegal." You know, so it's very damaging. And then here's the other thing too. Once you do it once, what do the 5 linemen do? They come closer together. They come closer together. And guess what you do then? You put it right over their head. And you'll see what we did in one game where the guy literally our guy catches the ball. This is over left. Carter and Fair, those are the guys from the college team. So I just left them in there where we just align them to switch sides. And you see how there's 2 wedge busters there. So the 2 wedge busters would go right to that one guy. And remember, don't run where they're at. Run where the ball was told to be kicked. Because if you run where they're at, they'll move, if that makes sense. This right here is just a different, coming back and kicking it. Nothing outside. Dunn would do as a looper. And if you notice, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on one side, but then we have a guy coming over the top. What he would do if it's 5 yards out, instead of making it such a big hoop, he just comes straight down the line, right behind the kicker. Over left is faster, only 3 seconds, and then that's D-Mac is the kicker we had there. Double dip, we ran this, right, Bryce? I don't know if we ran this in a game, but we did run this in practice, and we got it a couple times against the kicker return team, is where we would fake going down, one kicker, then the other guy would come back around, and then that guy would kick it right away. Who was that backup kicker? Do you remember when we did this? Do you remember who that was?
It was the other wide receiver. I can't remember her name. I'm sorry. Mel, I think.
Yeah, it was Mel, and then kicker. I called her.
Yeah.
So, and then here's one onside kick. Why did you call this stubby, Bryce?
I can't remember now.
Okay. I didn't call it stubby. So what we did was
I think it was just because it was short.
Okay. So Shane, you asked when do we put it on the line, on the hash? This is the reason why we put it on the hash. And here's the thing. If you practice this, but never show it in a game, then what's going to happen with the team? They're never going to know it's ready. So this is one of the things we never used in Outback, but we could have used it if we needed it. It's the same play right here. I call it fast break. All it is an onside kick, fast break. It's the same play, just different. It's my terminology. Here's cricket. So cricket was the one, I believe it's early. It's a surprise onside kick. It's the automatic fast break. It's a different version of it. All right, here are the onside kicks for the ones we've ran. You'll see a couple different ones, mainly the ones with the wedge going straight, or they back up and then the kicker says, screw it, I'm just going to go.
On onside kicks, Coach, where are you
Yes.
coaching the kicker to strike the ball?
Okay, so that's the cool thing, right? So let's play this and then ask me that question when we're done, because I'm going to show you. I'm going to tell you why. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. If you notice, the first one we had the kicker return it. This one we had the wedge busters recover it. Yeah, you didn't get that. We got that. This is the one I love. Watch this one. And if you guys have a kicker that can do this, I would totally recommend this one. This is our night game, my first year doing Beloit College. And I literally said, let's kick it to this guy and let's just kick it straight up in the air and watch what the guy does. Just kick it straight up in the air. Look at this. Watch this. He stepped up to block the guy, and our guy just grabbed it. And I believe I have the tight version of this. Yeah, it's the tight version right here. Watch. So he moves up. See how he moves up the block, the second line? So we saw that on film, so we're like, screw it. We're just going to pop it right over his head. So now the question you said was, Shane, like, where do you kick the ball, right?
Yeah, where do you have the kicker strike the ball on onside kicks?
Are you asking that, or is somebody else asking that?
It's me asking for as a general question.
So here's what I would say. Ready? if you have one, you should have two kickers. No matter what, have two good kickers, right? You need to let those kickers practice. So one, I wish I had a football on me, but I don't in my little dorm room. But if you have a line on top, we would tell them to kick the like it doesn't go all the way around. Doesn't go all the way around. We would just tell them to kick it. Here, let me draw it.
On the white stripe.
Yes,
Yeah.
because everyone is different, right? It's like I call it like a snowflake. Everyone is going to be different when they kick a ball. So when you're doing it, okay, I tell them to start here on the line. But remember, I don't want the ball facing the laces, facing you. I want it facing away. Does that mean I want them to see the laces? Because let me ask you a question. If you're coaching special teams and your front line sees a ball pointed a different way, what's the first thing they're thinking? The coach is going to find it right away. Like Coach Wilson, Craig Wilson, or Kevin Wilson, they're going to be, or John Rowe, one of those coaches will be like, that's not right. That's not right. There's something special coming, you know? So what I would tell them to do, and I don't know if Shane, is your kicker doing anything else or does he just kick?
Oh, they absolutely play other positions that we don't have a dedicated kicker.
If we have a kicker like we had here, listen, when that individual period is over, just go kick and tell me where the best sweet spot is. And then here's the thing. You get to check 2 balls in. Is that correct in Australia? Or how many balls do you guys get to check in?
I believe there's up to 6 game balls that can be used.
We would have 1 game ball just for the kicker. And we would make sure that's the one that's always kicked off. And usually it's a bigger ball or poppier ball or whatever, but it still passes the guidelines. But then when that kicker doesn't have practice or when practice is over, he's just kicking the ball to see where the best part is. So I would start there. If you want to just have a dribble for 10 yards, I would start there. And then you have to figure out what, like Coach Green said, when you plant your foot, do you have to extend your foot all the way out? Do you have to just tap it? Or do you have to nibble it? You know what I mean? You got to find out how far it goes. And Bryce will tell you this. We always told the kicker, it's a 10 yards is an onside kick, but kick it 13 yards. So kick it as strong as 13 yards. If you can understand that, I tell the kickers, just kick it enough so it goes past the 10 yards. Because if you've probably seen this before. If someone's done it before, they kicked it like that, and the ball went 2 yards or 3 yards or 4 yards. We want the ball kicked a little bit harder. So you have to find out where you want to do it. If you want to kick the ball up high, you need to tilt the ball like we told them to do, you know, and then all of a sudden just boot that thing as high as you can. Because remember, if it goes 10 yards, they can fair catch it. That's fine. Okay. But understand this, they still have to catch it. And who in the front line and the second line can catch a ball possibly if it's that high up in the air, especially in Australia when it's always sunny sometimes, or in America or wherever you're at. It's not that great to catch a ball when you're in the sun. And that's why we kicked it, because we had the lights there. Does that help you out?
Yeah, sure does. And then just another general question from me.
Sure.
Is does the return team having 4 on the front line change anything for you versus 5?
Oh yeah, you put 4. You put 4. We're not onside kick you. Because what do you got? A 4? What do you got? 4? How many you got? What? Give me the front. What does it look like?
It could be 4 10 yards and 2 or 3 slightly behind that, and then you get a 2 or a 3-person wedge, and
2 or 3 slightly behind that, and then what is it? 2 and 2?
You know, I'm just asking the general question of 4. You know, say 6, 5, and 4 on the front line. What?
So you're saying like something like that with the 4, right? 4,
yeah,
3.
maybe.
Okay, so you find like here's a great example. Ready? There's your holes that you should kick it to, right? If you have 4 on the line, okay, if they have 4 on the line, there's going to be one guy you can pick on where you can possibly, I don't know if you can see it, where if they have like, now, like you got to understand, where are you putting these 4 guys at? This guy, like if there's nobody in the middle, if he's on the hash, and he's on the hash, and where's Bryce? You still on?
Yeah, coach.
If they're both on the hash and they're 4-man front,
yep.
What are we going to do every play?
Kick it in the middle.
Kick it in the middle right now, because now that means I can get my guys to just seal these 2 to recover every time. I'm going to play around with that, and I'm going to find your hole or find your tell. And the other thing too, Shane, when you have 4 on there, Okay. If these guys are shorter, let's say these guys are moved up, and that could possibly happen, right? If you're a kick and return coach, I'm going to tell you guys right now, whoever you have on the front line, put them at 12 yards. Why put them at 12 yards? Because guess what? If you line them up at 10, no matter what, if you tell them not to move, they're still going to move because they got to get back because you're going to yell at them for not getting back on their blocks. If you put them at 12, that means they can move up 2 yards to recover a ball, or they can back up. They already have a 2-yard head start. So if you're ever going to do a kick return with a front line, start them at 12. You know, but I don't like a 4-man line personally. I mean, I would, Bryce knows me. We would attack that all day.
I got you. I'm just asking the questions.
No, you're fine. I'm sorry. I got a little excited. You notice Bryce is like, don't let him go. He's just gonna be like, we're gonna onside. So here, to wrap things up, here are my resources. I don't like to waste your time. I hope you understand that. I hope we had more questions, but I don't want to waste your time. I'm not that coach where I'm going to go over 30 minutes. But if you need me, all you got to do is contact me. Shane knows that. Shane, you sent me a text one night, and you couldn't believe I was up. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I think it was about 4 o'clock our time and about 2, 3 a.m. for you. I'm like, why are you not sleeping?
No, we're doing football. I was working on football. Darren Mitchell, he's making me work. What we got is right here is a football resource. They're on my website. If any program you like here and you want to get something, just ask. Some stuff is free, some stuff is not. Now, Go Army Edge, the great thing about this, you can't do Go Army Edge in Australia unless your phone is set to America. But what they did with the coaching accreditation program for GA, they let us use that for free to do some of your testing and stuff. So you'll see the videos and things like that. If you were in Victoria last year, I brought some of these items in and I gave them away for free. If you guys want to write this down, this might be one of my new sponsors, dragonflymax.com. It does all of your medical forms and stuff, and it tracks it in one central location. I don't know what you guys use, but it's a free service. So I don't know about you, Shane, or whoever else is in here. I like free. And Dragonfly Max, my buddy at Maryville, Ricky Upton, he told me about it, and I called him, and I thought it was awesome. Here are the books that I have currently out. There are the tackle books. I know some of you have bought some of the sets. The new ones are on the bottom. The Mom's Edition came out last week, but I didn't promote it. I promoted it today on social media. And then my Volume 5 Coaching Edition for tackle is over 300 pages. That's on a Kindle version only right now. I don't know if it's in Australia AU, but it is out in America right now.
If it's on Kindle, we can get hold of it.
Yeah, it's on Kindle. It's up. It was up when I went to bed at 5 a.m. last night because I uploaded it and then I had to do some stuff and get ready for some other things for a meeting. So here we go. Here's my information. If you have any questions, you're more than welcome to email me. My website is to the right. It's that barcode. If you use that barcode, you can go right to my website. The left's the green book where you see my 582-page drill manual book. That's my first one. That's where my author page is, but my information is right there. My Twitter, my Facebook. I have my own Back to the Basics website. If you have anything, please ask. You know, I see some not faces. I see some people that are on. They're still on. I appreciate it. But if you have any questions, just reach out and ask. You know, I mean, we're here to grow the game. And the one thing I love about Gridiron Australia is this. And this is one thing I hope you're recording this, Shane. They literally came together as a board and said, we're going to make something unified. And I think, and that is amazing that where other countries aren't there yet. And it's a one-stop shop for every coach you get to improve their football intelligence, to help grow the game. And like I said when I first did it, and Bryce knows this for sure, like win a medal for an Outback team. And I was very fortunate to be on one of the Outback teams. I wish I could come back one time, but like I have way unfinished business because I did not come up with my end of the bargain to get them a medal. So I apologize, Darren, for not getting you a medal. But, you know, I thought defensively, I tried to bust our butts to do it best we can. So I want to thank you, everybody. I want to thank Logan City Bears. I want to thank Shane. I want to thank everybody for having me. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, Coach, just to
Sure.
sort of ask, one of the things I learned from you guys was the way you approach selection for special teams in regards to how you look at who to pick, and the fact that
Yes.
you actually looked at long snapper as one of the first selections. So can you go over that for everybody, because it's very different to
Yes.
the way Australia approaches special teams. So I thought it might be worth telling everybody.
Well, two things. And Bryce, you know me, and I think Shane's only met me a couple times. And I think Darren and Serena and some other ones, like one, and Coach Konecki will probably say this too, is, and I don't know if he'll say I stole it from him, but the number one position that you need to pick first in your 45-man roster is your long snapper. You have to have a long snapper. I don't care what anybody says, you better have a good long snapper. If you don't, you're going to be in big trouble. I'm going to tell you that very carefully. You need to have a great long snapper. If you don't, you're in trouble. When we looked, or when we picked players with the 45 lady roster, or, I think we wanted a couple extras, and we did get a couple extras, is we want to know if they just play quarterback, then you can't have two quarterbacks to take up a 45-person roster. You need to have players that are versatile. And if we wanted to change one from offense to defense, we could. And what I try to do with our defense is make it so simple that if Coach K or whoever didn't want the player, we could just take them up. And Bryce, you remember the story with the watermelon, right?
Yes, Coach.
We traded a player for watermelon, and she was actually a defensive MVP. She was actually a defensive MVP during the Outback thing, because we will always watch film. And I'm the first one to tell you, I hardly ever sleep, because I want to make sure that I'm not out-coached, that I put the players in the best possible positions. And by getting players, and I would say out of the 45, you got to make sure you have 10 of them that want to play special teams. And if you find those 10, find them spots, just like Joe Judge said. I hope that answered your question, Bryce.
Thanks, Coach.
That was great stuff, Coach. Really appreciate it. And I know I'm really excited to see the Gridiron Australia coaching accreditation program. I'm looking forward to going through it. I think it's fantastic what the board are doing and partnering with yourself and getting some organized coaching development for us. I think it's a wonderful thing. And I want to thank all of the speakers I know aren't on but may see this recording, and everyone who's attended the events over the past 2 weeks or taken the time to watch these recordings. Really appreciate you. And at the end of the day, we're all just trying to get better. We're all trying to develop the sport and get as good as we can as coaches, so that we can get our players as good as they can be, and allow them to fulfill their potential. So really appreciative of everyone's time. I know there's a lot of things that people could be doing on a Saturday and a Sunday morning, but instead you've chosen to spend it with us and get better. So really appreciate your time. And whilst this is the last session of that I've sort of put together and this sort of a Zoom Australia mini clinic, it doesn't need to end. And I know I've spoken to a few coaches. What I would love is to have a few Australian coaches come on and do a presentation. Even if we do one or two a month for an hour or so, I think it's a great thing. I think we can all learn from each other. And, whilst it's great learning from American coaches like Coach Stone, I think there's a lot to be learned from each other as well. So if anyone's interested in that or wants to nominate someone that I can go harass, please let me know. And
Shane, you met with Nick, right? Nick Bastra?
Right? I spoke to him briefly.
Yeah, good.
Mostly after a chalk course.
Yeah, listen, I'm going to tell you right now, like I did chalk course too. That's pretty awesome. Some coaches hate it. I think, well, it's defensive ridden, but I don't really care. But what I would tell you is this: if you haven't, like Shane, if you can share his link or whatever, he gives out free, and he's my next guest on my podcast. It comes out probably this Friday. He does free clinics like you did, Shane. And the biggest thing I would say is there's a lot of great coaches out there like yourselves and all the ones that are still listening, because they could just, jump off. But, it's a free access. So if you get a chance, go to it. I would definitely look into them. And if Shane, if you want to do that. And then the only thing I ask too, Shane, is if you can put that email, that admin@ga.org.au for, Australian coaches to email about the certification course so they can, interested in registering, because the biggest thing is I think GA's, like you said, on the right path. And the more coaches that send that email, I think the faster Darren's going to make me stay up later. So, and the board and Kevin Wilson. So that's what I would
all good.
recommend.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to email all the links with the recordings, email the links to Coach Bantra's stuff, Coach Grandetti's stuff, because there's a huge wealth of information out there. And well, look, I think the past 2 weeks have shown that Australian coaches have an appetite to get better. I think it's just giving everyone the resources that are available to learn, and it's a great stuff. So really appreciate everyone. I'll stop the recording there.